If you were to ask the average manga reader what is the best manga release of all time, you might get answers such as Vagabond Viz Bigs, Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin hardcovers, but in my personal opinion, there is no other manga creator that gets as much love and amazing manga releases as Taiyo Matsumoto. Now, while a very popular mangaka, many of you guys may not have even ever heard of Taiyo Matsumoto. Some of his more popular works include Pong and Sunny, and though he does have this kind of cult-like following surrounding him, I feel like some of his series are still very underrepresented in the manga community, so I wanted to do this video to show them all off. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be showing off my absolute favorite shelf in my entire manga collection. That is going to be my complete, with a little asterisk, Taiyo Matsumoto English manga collection. In a second here, I'm going to take you guys over to my desk and show you guys every single manga release that Taiyo Matsumoto has ever gotten in English. We're going to see it all, everything from amazing series to fantastic releases and some rare stuff as well. Believe me, there are some gems in this video, so hopefully you guys enjoy this little showcase of Taiyo Matsumoto's English manga series. If you do, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more manga videos just like this. So without any further ado, let's get right into the video. Alright, so starting things off here, we have probably Taiyo Matsumoto's most famous manga that most of you guys are going to recognize. In my opinion, this is his best series that he ever put out. Here, of course, we have Pong. I have spoken very highly on this series, and for good reason. It's one of the best sports manga you can read, and I believe that was a couple years ago that Viz put the series out into this beautiful omnibus format. I mean, this is just a stellar release. I love how these look with the manga panels on the actual books themselves. The print quality is amazing, as well as the paper quality. Just everything about this release is spectacular. The artwork is very clear and obviously distinct for Taiyo Matsumoto's style. Pong is just such an amazing series. It really does capture that vigor of sports and youth, and kind of gives representation for ping pong, a sport that doesn't get a whole lot of representation, especially in manga. This series is currently in print and I believe in stock, so if this series sounds like something you'd be interested in, then I would highly recommend you go out and check out Ping Pong, one of the best sports manga ever created, in my opinion, Taiyo Matsumoto's best series to date. Next up here, we have another one of Taiyo Matsumoto's probably more popular series that more people have read, and for very good reason, because this is one of my favorite manga series of all time. Here we have Taiyo Matsumoto's Sunny. Now, this was put out by Viz into 6 beautiful hardcover editions. Just fantastic quality. The feeling on the actual book itself is kind of almost like, I don't even really know how to describe it, but it's like coarse, just feels very high quality, and these books all have fantastic covers to boot. As you can see here, each book features one of the children that's featured in the series. If you guys don't know, this series basically follows this group of kids who live at this orphanage, and it basically just follows their day-to-day lives as, you know, goes through their struggles, but also has this air of childhood innocence as they just, you know, have fun being kids. The series can honestly be kind of sad at times, you know, dealing obviously with children who have not had the easiest of lives, but there is still a lot of fun to be had, some very heartfelt moments in this series. And honestly, at only 6 volumes, I think that literally everybody watching this video should go and check out Sunny. Just a fantastic release, fantastic series. Similar to Ping Pong, this series is still in print, and I believe should be in stock everywhere, so you really don't have an excuse not to go out and check out Sunny. Just a fantastic manga series that I feel everybody can enjoy, and definitely has my highest recommendation. The next manga release that we're going to be looking at today in this video is a little bit more of a fun one. You know, we've talked about some stuff that's in stock in print, but now we're going to talk about one of the most beautiful manga releases ever created. That is, of course, Taiyo Matsumoto's Gogo Monster. And before I go too into depth on this release right here, I will make a note that there is a slipcover that is supposed to come with this. I actually bought this off of like some 14-year-old on eBay who was selling off a bunch of his dad's stuff for guitar lessons. So, I mean, I'm not too surprised he didn't have it, but it's still very lucky to find. But I mean, honestly, this release just speaks for itself. Absolutely beautiful. I honestly kind of prefer this to what's on the slipcover, but the real attraction of this is these beautiful bold red pages, and especially on the spine where it has this floral looking pattern. Just a fantastic release, goes without saying. But as for the manga itself, this is definitely Taiyo Matsumoto at his most experimental. Basically, if I remember correctly, about this kid who has a bunch of weird visions, like he sees things. Honestly, this was like over a year ago that I read this, so I really can't recall all the intricate details, but this is just a weird manga to say the least. You also have this character right here who wears like this paper bag over his head. He's like an outcast at school. It's just so weird, but honestly, really enjoyable. It's honestly kind of a shame that this release is so out of print, just because more people don't really get to experience reading this, especially physically. So if Viz wants to put this in some new edition, I'm all for it, but honestly, nothing will ever beat this manga release. In my opinion, it's just so beautiful and in a league of its own. Next up here, we have probably the most average looking Taiyo Matsumoto manga release, as it's just a single Viz volume, but this happens to be one of the most out of print that you're going to see today in this video. If you guys didn't know, I'm talking about Blue Spring. First off, I absolutely love this cover, just the paint stroke artwork on the Blue Spring and on the picture as well. Just absolutely fantastic. Love this image too. But as you guys can tell, this is of course just a regular looking Viz volume. Nothing too special about it. As for the series itself, it's actually a short story collection with some really good stories actually, but a lot of them are just not that good. As a big Taiyo Matsumoto fan, this is something that's really cool to have, but not something that I would necessarily recommend to somebody looking to get into Taiyo Matsumoto, especially because of the insane price tag that accompanies this volume nowadays. But if you are an established fan of Taiyo Matsumoto and you can find this for a good price, I would definitely recommend giving it a try, because there are some character cameos with one of his other series that I'll get into in just a second here, as well as some pretty good and enjoyable short stories. So yeah, if you can find this, definitely pick it up. It's something unlike anything I've ever read before. Now moving on to the next manga release that we have here for Taiyo Matsumoto, we have Tekkonkinkreet, aka Black and White. Now the edition that I have is these 3 volumes that were put out in the Pulp line. I am 90% sure that Pulp is like this Viz magazine, of course, that's no longer being produced, but some of these series put out in the Pulp line are very sought after, including Black and White that we have here in these 3 volumes. Honestly, my favorite part about this release is just these pastel colors, make them so unique and pop out on the shelf, as well as these super unique covers with black, white, and then them together on the end. I mean, this is just such a trippy cover. I'm so glad that these volumes look like they do. Now, I will confess that Black and White, aka Tekkonkinkreet, is probably one of my least favorite Matsumoto manga, but it still just has so many amazing qualities. I mean, the plot of it is just absolutely absurd, basically about these 2 kids who go around just terrorizing this town, which is honestly super vibrant and alive feeling. That's probably the highlight of the series, is the world. And the series gives us an example of how Taiyo Matsumoto's really unique artwork can definitely set the stage for a bizarre environment that really brings it to life. And I will admit that I really do need to go back and revisit this series, because it has been a while, and I feel like maybe with some more insight I would enjoy this series again if I gave it another try. But I can definitely recommend this, as if you're looking to get into Taiyo Matsumoto, this is probably one of the ones that's the most approachable. Now, it probably goes without saying, but this edition right here is out of print, as well as the all-in-one edition, which is the little asterisk that I mentioned at the beginning. I used to own that edition, but I ended up selling it just because I thought it was a horrible release. You know, with the quality and consistency that Viz usually puts into Matsumoto's manga releases, they just completely dropped the ball on this all-in-one edition. The paper quality is super thin, like tissue paper, and no, the art is big, but it's just kind of cumbersome to read. But that paper quality is definitely the thing that just made me not want to read that series in that edition. I'll take the smaller version that I can actually hold in my hand easily and read. I believe that the all-in-one edition is currently out of stock. I think it will come back, but it's going for insane out of print like prices on eBay and other places. So if you want to read Tekkonkinkreet, do not pick up the all-in-one edition. Trust me, I've owned it. I got rid of it because it was trash, and you'll honestly be able to find these volumes for about the same price, if not cheaper at the moment. And I think this is just the best way to collect Tekkonkinkreet. All right, so moving on here, we have another beautiful hardcover manga release put out by Viz for Taiyo Matsumoto. I'm talking about Cats of the Louvre. Now, personally, myself, you guys don't know, I am a pretty big fan of fine art. I think it's just so fascinating. I love going to museums whenever I get the chance. I just love looking at fine art. And if you guys don't know, the Louvre is obviously the most famous art museum. And basically this manga follows this museum keeper who works at the Louvre, who lost his sister when he was a child, but he believes that she lives in the paintings, as well as these cats that actually live in the attic of the Louvre and kind of come to life. Again, Taiyo Matsumoto's artwork really works to his advantage when he's drawing these environments. It really brings, Paris to life, all these places, inside the Louvre or outside. It's just so vibrant and alive. And if I remember correctly, Matsumoto was actually given kind of special access to the Louvre in places that the public doesn't often get to see. So, it really feels like he knows the layout of the Louvre and really does do it justice. But as for the actual release, I mean, a beautiful hardcover. Absolutely love this spine. It just flies right off the shelf, and a lot of people who have picked up the series and read it picked it up because of this spine. This is another one of my favorite Matsumoto manga. It's really chill, really beautifully drawn, and just the story is awesome as well. The characters could use a little bit of work. I'm not a huge fan of like animals that look humanoid and talk. Usually not my thing, but if you can get past that, you're gonna be in for an absolutely amazing and beautiful piece of art with Cats of the Louvre. So next up here we have the most recent of Viz's manga releases for Taiyo Matsumoto series. And this series actually did get a physical release in English, a partial English release that we'll get to in a second. But as you can see here, we have volumes 1 through 4 of Taiyo Matsumoto's number 5. If you guys watch my manga hauls, then you'll know that every single time I get one of these volumes, I just have to show off how beautiful they are. And honestly, this series was a big inspiration for this video. I just wanted to show off his releases, or I guess Viz's releases of his series, more in depth because they are just so breathtaking. I'll go ahead and show off all of these in depth just because, honestly, they deserve it. But yeah, as you can see, here we have volumes 1 through 4 of Taiyo Matsumoto's number 5. This actually recently finished up in English, I believe, probably like a month ago with the last volume, as you can see here. And I've put off reading this series just until this was completed, so now that I finally have it, I can finally get into reading it. So I don't really have anything to say for the series and the quality of itself, but I've heard that this is just one of his most unique series. And in my humble opinion, even though I haven't read this, I flipped through these volumes and I think that this is honestly Taiyo Matsumoto's best drawn series. I mean, just look at these pages, for example, just so detailed, and his unique kind of sketch-like art style really comes to life. And just as I'm flipping through this, one thing that kind of struck me is that if you want to create something, if you want to make a manga, you don't have to make your art like everybody else. I mean, Taiyo Matsumoto has such a unique style, as you can see with some panels right here. His lines are not straight all the time. There's like just little doodles for the shading sometimes, but it's so unique and it has so much love poured into it. It's so obvious, even though it's not the most, photorealistic, something like Vagabond, it's so distinctly Matsumoto, and that's one of the reasons why he has so many fans that love his stuff. It's so unique. With all that being said, I'm excited to get into number 5 now that this is finally complete. And yeah, at 4 volumes long, I would really recommend picking this up as it is still in print, in stock, and I'm hoping this will be one of my favorite Matsumoto series just based on what I've seen so far. And last but definitely not least, we have the most recent manga pickup that I've actually gotten for Taiyo Matsumoto. This is one of his older releases, but the most recent one that I have got. And honestly, this is one of the most pointless things that I've ever bought in my entire manga collection. But here we are in this video to show them off. The last English Taiyo Matsumoto manga release is going to be number 5 again. So here we have in the Pulp Editions, volumes 1 and 2 of number 5. Now, these are big volumes. In fact, I'll actually get one of the number 5 volumes in the new release and kind of show off just how much bigger they are. I mean, look at that. Like, the size is incredibly different. Now, these were the only 2 volumes put out in English for this series. I don't know why it stopped. I guess it just got axed for one reason or another, but that does not change the fact that these are amazing manga releases. Now, when I bought these, I actually didn't know, but these have removable slip covers, which is really interesting. I didn't know. So they have alternate covers and spines underneath there, as well as some color pages that you actually don't get in the new release. And unlike the Tekkonkinkreet all-in-one, these are bigger editions, but the paper quality is still really good. And you know, it gives you that experience of having that big blown up artwork that really just amplifies the entire reading experience. So when I read the series, I'll probably read the first 2 volumes in this edition and then move on to the, you know, newer ones, because these are just so awesome. Absolutely in love with these. Now, these volumes have been out of print for a very long time, and they can get pretty up there in price. But honestly, unless you're just buying these to complete your Matsumoto collection, or you just want these for a really dope collector's item, there is really no reason to pick these up again, because it's not complete in this edition. If you're interested in number 5, definitely check out the new beautiful number 5 release that I just showed off previously. Don't even bother with these unless, you know, you're a degenerate collector like me. But if you are a collecting degenerate like me, then this is something that will definitely elevate the quality of your manga collection, and is just such a unique and interesting release that I'm so glad to personally have. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's video, showing off all of the English manga put out for Taiyo Matsumoto, some amazing releases, some rare stuff, and overall just a bunch of fantastic series that I think a lot more people should be reading, just because they're so unique and so fantastic. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more manga videos just like this. So yeah, this has been ThePromG. Hopefully enjoy the video, and as always, hope to catch you in the next one.